All right, this is video one of my life. I've been thinking a lot about doing this, and it's kind of weird because I like to be able to help people, and I also like confession. I think it's good for the soul. Never mind the hair and stuff. I got back from the gym, sweated my ass off. But everybody's life I look at is like you could make a movie out of everybody's life. All you need is the right kind of music and the right kind of storyline, and the right kind of director. But raw data from people's life is super important, and I think that far too often we feel isolated in this world. Social media hasn't brought us together. It's made us more isolated and envious, and people think the grass is greener on the other side. And often they destroy the beautiful things that they have in their life to be able to chase it. I am the victim of something like that. 90 days ago, 92 days ago, I had a wife up, and after almost 17 years of marriage, tell me she wasn't in love with me no more. She had her reasons, and I respected that. But then after the marriage fell apart and she split, a lot of painful things, a lot of hurtful things happened afterwards. But this is kind of a diary of my life, and I wanted to start off at least with video one, and maybe like do an 8-minute video most mornings and just kind of talk to everybody. It's me putting it out there because you never know what's going to happen in the world, and it's kind of important that we all connect. And I want to keep this channel as real as possible. So what I want to do is I want to share about what I had to do to get past the first 30 days. As a man, whenever a woman leaves you, we're struggling inside to be able to think that, hey, I need to protect this woman. I need to give her everything I got. I need to prove to her that I'm worth her coming back. I need to show her how much she means to me, how much I hurt, how much I suffer. And we get caught up in losing ourselves trying to figure out how to be able to win them back. The one thing all of us men have to understand, and even women will tell you this on different channels and stuff, when a woman's finally told you that they're not in love with you no more, they've been making plans for 6 months before that. And you have to accept the fact that what you're being seen, what you're looking at right now is basically like looking at a star's light as it really traveled billions of years ago to get here. And you think you're looking at the twinkling star now, but you're not. You're looking at something that's already gone, that's already changed, and you don't know what it is. And it's not that your wife has become your enemy, but you have to understand that most of the time they look at you as a resource at that point. And you have to be able to guard yourself. You have to be able to keep your feelings in check. And it's really, really hard because your heart tells you, slay the dragon, bring your family back, do anything you can to be able to save them. But you have to understand 95% of your wife is already gone. She may do what's called breadcrumbing and say that they love you and they want to be able to be there for you and help you and even talk sweet and stuff on the phone. But that's either shame, guilt, control, or manipulation. It's not love. It's not love. And you have to understand that. I'm not saying that she doesn't love you, but you have to understand it's not love in the sense of what you feel for her, because you'll die for her. You'll go chase her down to the ends of the earth and be able to do anything you can to find her and bring her back home, because you want to be able to protect that woman that you keep thinking that she is. But the truth is, you've got to accept the fact that 95% of her is already gone. And I don't like to use this word, but she's not your enemy, but she's definitely your opponent at that point. And you can still be kind and loving, but you have to protect your heart. You have to protect your health. And I know, because I fell for it, and I went into deep shock with my body. My HRV, which is heart rate variability, which is basically a gauge of your health, was at 42 and 47 for 62 days. And that's horrible. That's on the verge of just like collapsing all the time and being in panic mode all the time and hurting all the time. And I've never been so devastated in my life as I have this time. This is my third marriage. You'd think I would be like okay with stuff, but this was one of those marriages that I completely trusted without any reservation. If you guys have ever done this before, you'll know what it's like to be able to give somebody 100% to the point to where you don't believe it'll never, ever end. You can't fathom it ending ever. And you trust in that. And the problem is that crushes you whenever it does happen. I've done a lot of research, I've done a lot of soul searching, and the things that I've learned, if you were to put it in one sentence, the reason why it hurts so much is there's a stranger walking around inside of all your fondest memories. But once you realize there's a stranger in that, you have to understand that something was stolen from you. And that's your connection. That person is not your connection no more. That person is not your person. Things may settle down and you guys could work things out later on, but right now you have to protect yourself. You have to understand your health, your job, your mentality, your vitality, your manhood, your livelihood, your bills. If you're in recovery, your sobriety. If you go to church, your spirituality, you've got to be able to make those steps and get up. And I'm telling you right now, I had to put one foot in front of the other when I didn't have the power to even understand what the next step was going to do beyond that one. But I had to keep going. I had to keep going. I surrounded myself around good people. I reached out to a men's group. I went back to church. I started praying all the time. I got online courses for counseling. Those are some of the greatest things ever. Because like for my insurance, anyhow, $30 I get an hour. And you could talk anytime you want. Just set up an appointment and you got someone that'll talk to you. It's important to not isolate. I did that to a point because we have no kids together and I'm in a house all by myself. And the only thing I have is the 2 dogs that she left behind. And I stayed up here like Superman in his fortress of solitude, you know, and I every picture, every corner, every decoration, every piece of furniture, every, area of carpet, the outside, the patio covers, the exercise equipment, the bed, the views from the windows, everything was just a her and I thing. Everything was. And it was torturous. I was just here by myself and I had to take pictures down slowly but surely. And at first I was being really careful about them. I was dusting and cleaning everything and putting it all, organized and treating everything like it was so important to me. And then I finally got tired of all the little things that said family, live, laugh, love, all that bullshit that's on the walls that women put up on the walls and stuff. And I'm not vindictive or mad, but I just got tired of seeing it because it just reminded me of how much I didn't have family and how much I wasn't in a house of love and how much I wasn't laughing, how much I wasn't living. So I took everything down. And I wasn't mean or vindictive, but I put everything on the dining room table and I put it towards the front window facing it so they could look outside and see the morning sun and then the stars at night. And I was trying to be really respectful of everything. And then slowly but surely, family isolation happened and everybody on her side cut me off and I didn't get to talk to people. And it got more hurtful and there was this breadcrumbing going on. Like, I want to come home, then it wouldn't happen. I want to come home and it wouldn't happen. And so finally I just said, you know what, I got to stop cherishing all these things that are just meaningless to other people. I didn't get to visit with my wife. The only thing I got to see was the time she came to be able to try and sign divorce papers because she wanted a new car. And I think it's important that you have to understand that the only thing you have to save as a man is you've got to save yourself, number one. And it's just like whenever they tell you when you're boarding on an airplane, they say when the mask drops, put it on yourself. You got to put it on yourself. You have to save yourself as a man. You have to do it because you're no good to nobody else. And I know a lot of guys that drunk themselves to death down there for 2-3 years before they could rebound. And even then, they were still shells of themselves. And it's unfortunate. And I'm 58 years old. This is my 3rd marriage. It lasted almost 17 years. And I was devastated. I mean, I got a good income. I got a decent job and everything else, but I really felt like I was going to be a homeless person. That's how much it hurt. That's how devastated I was behind it. And just my one and only special person just gone. And you guys know what that's like. If you're struggling, you know what that's like. You know what the pain in your heart that leaves. And if you've gone through it, you know what I'm talking about it too. But what I'm telling you right now, from one man to another man, you can make it. You can, but you just have to get up and you have to make one step in front of the other. You have to point yourself into a direction and stop wanting, but planning. Don't want to get better, but plan to get better. Plan it. Get your ass to church. Start calling friends you know to be supportive. Reach out to your family. And I don't care how much it hurts to talk about it. You have to talk about it, man. I started going back to church and the church at the end of the services, they would always say, hey, whoever wants to come up to the altars, bring your pain up here, come find Jesus and everything. And I went up there and at first I didn't want to let it out and I didn't want to talk about it. And I didn't want to, I wanted to be brave and strong and stuff it down like all of us men do. And why we end up having heart attacks at 63. But I went up to the altar And I just let it out. And most Sundays I go up to the altar and I cry and I let it out. You have to be true to yourself and you have to let that pain out. And whatever you do, please don't rebound. It's not fair to the next person, man. Don't even think about it. You got to get stable before you even think about that. Sure, it's a good diversion. Sure, it feels maybe like there's somebody else to touch. And you're going to have a lot of that pain where you want just the human touch. You're going to want to touch somebody and be touched by somebody. You want to hold somebody. You know, I suffer from autoimmune disease, and I can tell you firsthand at nighttime, whenever it really kicks in, it's the most horrible thing is ever. I feel like I'm having a heart attack every 3 minutes. And it's hard. It's hard to go through that. And luckily, well, before I had my wife with me. So she was my stable, my anchor, my rock. Because I always knew I could just touch her and go, "Oh, I think I'm dying. I'm really dying. I think so." You know, so it gave me a little bit of comfort. And I think the most heartbreaking thing that ever happened to me in my entire life was going through that like 17 times after she left. And one time, and I'll share it with you guys because it's important, but it's also a spiritual thing. You know, I was going through it and it keeps me half awake and stuff, and I don't know what I'm doing and everything else. And normally I could just reach over and touch her, or I can get up and walk around in the other room, but she's here. But you know, it's a weird thing sleeping in the same bed when there's nothing there but a ghost of a memory, and it'll hurt you. I promise you, it'll hurt you. If you have to sleep on the couch or sleep in a spare bedroom, I chose to sleep in the same bed. But one night I was tossing and turning with it, and it was probably like 1:30 in the morning, and I turned towards where she would normally sleep, and I felt her hand on my chest. I thought it was her hand on my chest, and I felt calm and I felt comfort, and I reached to touch her hand, and it wasn't there. And I just started crying like a baby, you know, and I didn't understand why I was suffering so much with that. And I didn't understand why it was hurting me so much. And I didn't understand why my body and my mind and my spirit was setting me up for so much pain, because I was trying to put one foot in front of the other, like I'm telling you guys. And why would I be tortured like that? Why would it hurt like that? Why would I go through that so much? And what I've come to believe is that it wasn't her that was doing it. It was an angel. An angel reached out to me. That's what I believe. An angel reached out to me and put their hand on my chest and told you, "Corey, it's going to be okay. Calm your spirit. Ground yourself." And after that, instead of it being a painful, hurtful thing, I realized how blessed I was that at the moment of I maybe was going to have a heart attack, or maybe something bad was going to happen at night, something reached out to me and calmed me. And I felt good about it. You know, I'm 92 days now since the moment she told me that she doesn't love me or not in love with me. And it's been a wild ride. I rebuilt myself. But I didn't do just the outside. I did the inside. And that's the hard work to do, guys. You got to do the inside work first. You have to heal yourself. You have to find that way, whatever it is you got to do. And it's not about hiding in something. Don't just work more or fish more. Only go to the gym more. You got to do that step work. You got to do that stuff inside of your soul. You got to reach deep inside, and you have to be able to dig every day, every minute. You know, you feel like you're going to die. Just know you're not. You're not going to die. You may want to. I went up to the mountains in the rain and, you know, screamed at God to take my life because I was hurting so much, you know. And I'll share this with you too. And, you know, when the first 30 days it happened, I prayed to God, "Bring my wife back. Bring my wife back." That was the only thing I wanted. Bring my wife back. Bring her back to me. Please, God, bring her back to me. I just got to have my wife. I got to have my wife. And nothing happened. And then like a week and a half after that, I kept making these deals with God. Like I was bartering with him. I was telling him, you know, "God, you know, I promise I'll go do this if you bring her back to me. I'll be this if you bring her back to me. I'll serve you if you do this for me. I'll do it." And nothing happened. I kept setting myself up. I go, "She's going to be around the corner. She's going to be at church. She's going to be here. I'm going to come home. She's going to be here. She's going to call me tonight. And nothing happened. Nothing happened. And the pain was so great. Then I made deals with God. Just take my life. Just take me away from this. I can't do this anymore. I can't do it anymore. I can't do it. Please, God, please, please take me away from this planet. I don't want to be here anymore." And nothing happened. Nothing happened. You know, and then I think I started to find a little bit of calm. And then I realized this. I was praying for the wrong stuff. And I think the last probably 40 days I prayed for his will and me to understand what that is. And I don't even understand what God is yet. I don't know if he's the dude with the long hair, or if it's just a spiritual being, or if it's a simulator programmer guy and the engineer that made all this possible. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But I know I have to believe in something greater than myself. I know I have to be able to dig deep into that and let something else take the wheel for a while. And trust and have faith in that. Because there is a higher power out there. Whatever form it is, it's out there, guys. And you just have to have faith in that. So today, I end this video with this word of encouragement for any man that's suffering through this. Never give up on yourself. Put one foot in front of the other. No matter if you even know what direction you're walking. Just get one foot in front of the other. Don't hide from the pain, man. You got to walk through that shit. You have to walk through that shit, brother. Because on the other side, you're going to find yourself. I'm still finding myself. And there's days it still sucks. It's days it still hurts. And there's days I just want to run back. But I know my worth now. I'm starting to anyhow. And that's where you guys got to get. You guys got to start to understand your worth as a man. You know, and it may take years before you find another woman. But that's not the point. The point is know your worth. Know your value. Get yourself off the clearance rack and put yourself in that window. Shine like a diamond in the goat's ass, my brother. And then start working on the outside. And I'll start sharing more about that too later. But today, if you're suffering, surrender. Let it out. Put one foot in front of the other. I love you guys, man. Put comments in there if you want me to talk to you. I'll do anything I can, the best I can. Love you guys.